Hey, it's Victoria Gibson from Human Design Powered Business, and welcome to the second Self-Trust Sessions episode. This is where I get real about the messy, imperfect journey of building a human design powered business, trying to launch, pivot, shift, adjust, and thrive according to your own design, trusting yourself and giving yourself permission to succeed on your terms. So if you haven't listened to the first Self-Trust Sessions episode, that's totally fine. This is just more of an informal kind of approach to sharing my insights, journeys, and expectations throughout the week in business, the week that was. And hopefully I can share some of these and you glean some of your own insights and how you can best apply them for you as well. In this episode, I'm going to give you some updates from low ticket land and the mindset required to drive ads to lower ticket funnels and offers. Some of my own experiences as well as my clients' experiences over the past week. So up to date kind of insights into what's happening there, what's working, what's not, and a behind the scenes look as I am planning and creating a new offer and how that shifted from what I intended to create with the help of AI holding my feet to the fire. So I'll tell you how I did that as well. And also just how stumbling on one little spreadsheet changed my whole view of the profit that I could create in the next 12 months. So strap in and I will try and stay on track and share with you what went on, my musings, my insights, my perspectives. So hopefully that's valuable for you. I hope you had a great week too. The biggest thing for me was not only running my own low ticket ad funnel to my cash flow keys report, my profit code blueprint that I launched mid-November. This episode's 2025, we're into December. And I have been looking at scaling those ads and that funnel up, given that it is a way to bring in qualified leads, that it is a way that I can deliver great value without even having to be there live to deliver it, right? To be able to synthesize the power of human design, to give business owners an opportunity to see how they can let more, abundance and cash flow and continuous sustainable cash flow come to them rather like from a place of flow rather than forced. So that was a project within itself to create a new offer that could really sort of stand alone, I guess, but be a way to bring amazing people into my world and what I want to share from a human design perspective. And that's not necessarily teaching human design, by the way. That's more about synthesizing human design in a way that can power up your marketing and business growth strategy in this new era where a lot is changing, a lot is shifting. And if you're anything like me, you don't really want to hear the same old kind of cut and paste advice. You want things that are going to work for you. And really that was my mission in shifting from more of my earn more as a life coach positioning that I had previously with my coach co-offers and a lot of business growth and online business growth, that to me still felt, even though I wanted to niche down into life coaches, it still felt like it was really it wasn't as innovative as I wanted it to be. I would definitely share what was worth working and rock solid principles, but I wanted to be able to find new and innovative ways to have a business on your terms and have strategies that you could get excited about executing and that would work for you. And that means less cut and paste and more custom. And the best way that I found to do that was absolutely powering it up with human design. So that doesn't mean you have to go and learn all the elements of human design. Hopefully that's where I'm going to come in to be highly valuable for you and be the synthesizer of that information that is going to be able to make it quicker, more meaningful, and way more effective and efficient for you to power up your business with human design using the systems that I create for you. The first of those being the profit code blueprint, which is your 6 cash flow keys. And that's probably where we go to look at what's kind of some of the insights of the week, in that I have been driving sales to that, running ad traffic primarily as my opportunity to get sales. So, yes, I could use organic as well and email marketing. I'd send a couple of emails, but that's probably it. I wanted to be able to develop a system that would work even when I didn't want to work. So, this is really what really honors my human design as a manifestor. I will have creative downloads and urges that come through me. It's like these surges of like, right, I've got this idea. I want to go. Let's do it. Leave me alone while I pull it all together. Whereas I think beforehand, what I used to do is think that I had to do it the way everyone else had to do it, which was get it out there, always be selling or always be on too, like get people in and get clients for life. And yes, there is something about having clients over the longer term and the long-term value that you can extract from that. But it might not be for every human design to be able to do that either. There's elements of it I love in that you get into a rhythm and flow of working with your clients. But there's also an obligation that can happen the higher ticket offer that you go and the longer time that you provide that offer. In 2012, 2013, I launched a mastermind, a 12-month mastermind offer. So clients would come with me and join for 12 months. Most of them would either pay up front or monthly. It was about half actually. And so I had that much higher level of revenue, but it was a much higher level of commitment. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because I think the value was exceptional. And it was also, it was a true mastermind experience where it wasn't just me, my expertise and experience and my clients and what they wanted to learn. It was that third entity that becomes the mastermind where we had the group, we would have retreats and live programs. A lot of what I'm now seeing, a lot of the higher volume marketers adding to their business. I've seen Amy Porterfield bolt this into her business, and there's nothing wrong with this. I've always loved the higher ticket model, and I'll share why it doesn't always necessarily work for me in a moment. But I actually met Amy Porterfield. She was my mastermind buddy in Marie Forleo's mastermind back in 2011. So she's built an amazing business, and she's an amazing woman. She's well qualified to be offering this mastermind. But I think it's interesting to see a lot of the marketers at scale shifting to that as a more reliable revenue model and a higher profitability model for them without the same volume of buyers that they maybe once had. That's sort of what it's sharing with me. I don't know the ins and outs of their business, so I couldn't comment, but even seeing Jenna Kuchar offering her own sort of VIP days at her home, like, and a few years ago, that would sort of seem wild at her level of success to be doing that. So, I first came across that model really in 2012, 2013 when I joined Kevin Nation's mastermind. He was sort of like being touted as one of the, creators of that positioning. And he really talks a lot about what he calls his rapid selling. Now he's probably refined it, but he was very good at keeping very consistent with what he shared. And a lot of that was about a framework to be really helping people solve problems at a higher level with more intimate access, fewer clients, and in more of a mastermind kind of setup, which is really what I got to experience and then offer from being involved in some of those. And the first was really Marie's mastermind that I was involved in as well, which I always love that container. And as a client, as long as, your mentor delivers on what they say and doesn't scale too big and doesn't try and put everything on autopilot and bring in lots of different coaches, then it can be an amazing experience. But I think over the years, a lot of that has got diluted with this cut and paste world where people are like, well, great, but I don't actually want to do all that work. But I still want to charge the amount of money, but I don't want to show up in the same way. So they're trying to leverage a lot of it and it loses a lot of its magic, because part of the magic is really that personal touch of the mentor being accessible and bringing like-minded people together and really gatekeeping that opportunity too, so that everyone is on the same kind of mission. And that you gatekeep when there's rogue people coming in and out of that environment as well, which there always will be, right? So it's making sure that there's a definite ideal for the person who comes. I know people always talk about ideal clients, but you really need to be very clear about the kind of client that's coming into that environment so that you're not infecting the group, right? With, just people who want to be part of it because they're driven to to go where they think everybody else already is, right? And they want to kind of get a shortcut there. And I used to teach on creating your own mastermind back in 2018 and letting people know that it was a great alternative to a digital course, particularly if you didn't want to spend a lot of your time on the marketing heavy side of business in online and being a coach and consultant. If that wasn't your forte, but being with people and getting transformations then a mastermind model is a great way to do that. But without the lens of human design, what I now can see is, yes, it was a great way for me to be able to create amazing revenue and amazing outcomes on the whole. Like I think there was one woman who absolutely, hated my guts and wanted her money back, but that was it out of all of the people. And so I consider that a solid result from having that offer. And I definitely have had lots of clients keep asking me for this offer too. Oh, when are you doing your mastermind? I'd love to do it again because it was amazing. But what I had to reflect upon is, and this isn't to say I wouldn't do it again, because actually at the beginning, even halfway through this year, I was thinking that that's where I wanted to go back to, because that was also in many ways where I was most happiest in my business, when I had that continuity of the clients and we had in-person retreats and I could see the collective rise. And now also I know that's very much part of my human design in terms of one of the kind of the strengths and the channels that I have. For those of you who do know human design, the 2145 channel, it goes from sort of willpower to creation. But it's here for the purpose of it is here for the collective and to help the collective have the resources they need to thrive, particularly in a material capacity. So money is an undercurrent, especially of my purpose and helping people create material success and wealth. So that works, and I've seen that work in terms of the work that I do with my clients. Where it doesn't work as well for me is where a longer term container, like a more in-depth, longer term container, will not necessarily align with my natural energy flow. So it means that if I'm working with someone over a year, and say in that mastermind, we had weekly calls and we had quarterly retreats, and they could access me pretty much at any time in terms of in the group, asking questions, getting feedback, getting their work looked at, all of that. And I was creating that. Now, I could have, and I still could, structure a team to help with some of those elements, particularly maybe, work that's getting submitted for review and having a bit more of a system around that. And then it comes to me. So there's ways to work around that. But one of the other elements of that money channel is Gate 21. Gate 21 is the managing director. It is about control. One of its shadows is, control, like really wanting to take control. And that makes it difficult for me to trust others to do the work that I want to do. So that's been one of my big struggles with building a team as well. And I think that might also be part of the whole manifestor design. We definitely need support, but we don't always work well with others in terms of having a vision and what we want to create and how fast we want to go and the rhythm and flow of when we want to do it. So I've definitely found that challenge in my business. So part of that longer container going deeper, there was many things that worked for me, but one of the things that wasn't was that overwhelming responsibility that I felt, which as we should when someone's investing with you, but it's like, how does that feed your energy, or does it deplete it? And there were, especially when we had the in-person and coaching elements, it absolutely fed it. So it's like, yeah, I could see that I could do it again. I just have to make sure that I was able to manage my energy around it. But here's what happened over the last week as I was mapping out a new offer. So my cash flow keys is really more just like a lead generation opportunity where I can deliver something of high value and I can utilize it to generate, great targeted leads and hopefully have a great win-win that also protects my energy. Over the last week, I've been able to generate, be in profit like $207 on what I had spent on ads and made. That probably won't cover one online shopping order, but what it is doing is bringing in leads to my business. What then the next challenge needs to be is, if we've got that, at a small profit, how do we maximize the profit at the front end? Is it through other offers as we go down? That's normally how it works. So what can they be? And then we get the average order value up. So even in terms of beginning, I've been running this offer less than a month, for example. The first couple of weeks I had an upsell to the guide and the blueprint. So the blueprint's $27. The upsell at first was $19, but it wasn't a new offer that I created, and it wasn't really in sync because it was something I already had from my previous positioning of more of general online business growth. Now, although this is suited to business owners and entrepreneurs, it does have more of a transformational opportunity in terms of understanding how you can integrate your human design and how you're wired for wealth, like what your money mechanics are from a basic kind of energetic blueprint, rather than, hey, here's another strategy and tactic and tool and template for you to use and just swipe and deploy, right? I really want to move away from a lot of that cut and paste stuff that is being shared. And if you're anything like me, you get sick of that. You want more customization. So how can we do that at scale? And this is really the first time I could see, wow, using the right kind of software and tools. And I use my Bodygraph. Is it called My Bodygraph or bodygraph.com? Bodygraph.com. I always get them mixed up. One's Jovian Archive. It's not the Jovian Archive one. It's another software. And you can create your own reports and tools and based on human design. So if you're going to work those up yourself, obviously that would be super difficult. And this makes it easier. It's still a very lengthy process to create, and to create them well. And they can sometimes look janky and all of that sort of stuff. Like, it definitely takes more than a minute to create worthy blueprints and guides in here, but it's my mission to keep doing more of them because I think they're amazing, and I like to consume information that way too. I don't necessarily want to join some in-depth program if I don't know who you are yet. I want to see, hey, what do you got to share? And that's sort of what I'm building my business on too. So yeah, so being able to have that is great, but we need to increase average order value. And what I wanted to say before was, I went from a $19 upsell that was getting I think maybe a 20% take up rate, to then aligning my upsell with the profile pricing guide, right? So how to price your offers based on your human design profile. Once again, you don't have to learn human design. You just have to, for that one, you just have to look at your chart. What's your profile number? Most of you, if you're into human design, will probably know that part. Like, I'm a Manifestor 5-1, like those two numbers, your profile. So how does that impact how you price your offers? And then I detail that for the 12 profiles within that guide as an upsell. That is only $17, right? But 80% uptake, right? So what that starts to increase the average order value. It increased it, I think, from about, I'd have to look at the actual stats, but it was about $45 to about $60. So what I was seeing overall is the cost to acquire a purchase of the blueprint was $78, and I've got the average order value to around $65, but over the last week, it has been in profit. So I've been able to switch that around, and a large part of that was changing up the order bump. So it was worth taking the time to create something new that made sense as the next step. That was really a no-brainer, really high-value opportunity that's just easy to tick a box on and go, yes, thank you. I'll have both of those, right? So that started to just make that and click into profit. Now, the next stage is, right, well, we validated that it works. How can we work it at scale using ads? There's plenty of people that are out there who would want it. How do I get to them without wasting too much money or running the ads ineffectively so that they don't reach the right people, and we see a lot of wastage. So I've been in earnest looking at uncovering that, and the findings are definitely there, but it still requires, time to be running and looking at the ads. But here's what's interesting actually around that. I was going to talk to my other insight that I had for you on this podcast about the spreadsheet that showed me something different. Because even when I found this profitability tracker, it was part of some program and I had access to some of the materials and I was checking them out. And there was a profitability tracker, which at first pass I was like, oh, that's pretty standard. It was just like, okay, here's your month. And if you grow by this amount and you spend this much percentage on your ads, this is what your revenue and this is what your profitability will be on a cumulative basis over 12 months. And so I was kind of interested because I knew that now that I'd taken on regular ad spend again, which I hadn't for my own business for some time while I was reshaping my offers. And even when I did run it, I didn't always run ads. Most of the time I did, but I never spent a ton, like a really huge amount on ads, because I did rely more on getting just leads in and selling them into higher ticket programs. So my ads would be for sort of webinars or launches, some freebies I'd run over time, but I never spent, more than, I don't think, like maybe $40,000 in 1 year. I think that was maybe my highest amount that I ever spent on ads. And obviously I run ads for some of my higher level clients, and I have done for a long time. So I've seen how it works, but it's interesting where I've just thought, they've had very structured offers, whereas mine was always, it wasn't something like I go, hey, come and join my mastermind, but I wasn't running ads at scale for myself, weirdly, right? So that's kind of interesting in itself. Well, from my perspective on reflection, it is, because it's absolutely a skill I have and a highly valuable one. So why wouldn't I use it in my own business, right? Interesting. Bit of a block there, perhaps. So I thought, well, I'm going to put in, now that I've got some stats from this front end offer and I'm starting to map out what my other offers and elements of what I provide and my transformation will be, I'm going to start putting this in. Now, when I even just started formulating the beginning of the year human design powered business brand, what that would stand for, the messaging and the offers, I was thinking that I would go to a group program, because I love group programs. And I was thinking it would probably be anywhere from kind of 3 to 10 grand. That was sort of I was like, okay, well, then you've got money, enough margin to run your business well. I could have some team, I could have a high impact transformation and, get committed clients in and all of that. And it's not to say that I won't have that, because even I sort of planned out a little element of that in the last 3 months when I did this tracker. But even before I get to those 3 months, I was also giving myself time to build my business out as I go. So I created the methodology, the signature system, or what I like to call the magic method, right? Like it's those repeatable steps in your framework for transformation. And I had naturally thought, well, I'd take those steps and that would be my high ticket program. I had a client come in and join because she had wanted to go through the process, but I still didn't feel like I was quite ready, that I had it all mapped out. So I said, sure, we'll do it together, and, you can pay a reduced rate and I'll take you through it. And I was kind of building the plane as I flew it. And as I did that, I realized, I was trying to work out, have that balance between, I don't want to teach you human design, I want to synthesize it, but I want to find the best bits that come together with a solid marketing growth strategy and business principles, and definitely what's working in this era too, how to account for the shift. I've got a whole grab bag of things that worked in, from 2010 to 24, right? But not so much, not so much now. Like you could still do it, but I wouldn't, in good faith and good conscience, be wanting to teach a lot of those same strategies now, because I don't believe that that is the right direction and that is the future. So I want to be able to find that missing link and bring it in, and I believe that human design is the fuel for that fire. Being a human design expert isn't the fuel for that, but having human design powering your business and driving the alignment that you have with how you show up in your business, your message, the delivery of what you share, how you position yourself, your own personal brand, the frequency of your offers and who you're being, the understanding of your shadows and how to start to embrace and overcome some of them at times, but we're never going to eradicate them. But awareness and understanding is huge. So it's a totally different shift in perspective in more conscious business than just strategic business. And I can do both, but it's like I'm learning more about how to stay aligned and conscious of my design for my business, but also how I can set others up to be able to do that for their own customized needs as well. So now, of course, telling you a million things, I get off track with what I was going to say. But what I wanted to really impress upon that is that I was thinking that I would do it a higher ticket, because I'm still going to want to give you customized solutions and give you support and coaching. And I love live coaching. But, yeah, as I was doing it in the beta round with the client, I realized there were a lot of layers there. So I was trying to weave in a lot of human design, and then even I was seeing how that landed, and it definitely, of course, doesn't land as easily because one of the biggest barriers to embracing human design is that it is very complicated. It's complicated to learn and understand and apply at a higher level. So it was like, how could I synthesize it? How could I shortcut this process? And a lot of that happens in trial and error, like working it out as you go along. But I also don't want to just, have people coming in and spending, $3,000 or $5,000 to guinea pig their way through it. So I had already created kind of the pillars of what I wanted to share in that transformational path to finding the essence of what you want to share that is aligned with who you are in a way that you can have a business that is more like you, it's more effortlessly profitable, and it makes an amazing impact, and you're doing the work that you want to do, right, in essence. So I had those elements. If I tried to, where I was getting overwhelmed was like, okay, now I want to create real structure and value and resources for that so that people aren't overwhelmed. But as I did that, it did feel overwhelming to me. And I'm sure that would then translate that it would feel overwhelming to people coming into the program too, which is what I saw as I tried to deliver all of this to one person. So it was like, okay, but all of the elements kind of need to fit together. So then what happened was I was feeling a little of dissonance, like, I don't know what, you get down into that confusion loop, which even when, like I was saying, the last self-trust session, I know my authority and where I need to go and not go in my mind. So whenever we're in that dissonance and we've got the pull, it generally means we're going up to our mind to try and logic our way out of it or reason our way out of the problem, right? And the more you go up there, the more pressure it creates, and you will get off track from the right solution. Because really, in simple terms, you want to look at your own authority, which you can find in your human design life chart. And so I can go there, but then overriding my mind can feel hard at times. So it gets me in that dissonance and confusion where I'm like, well, I just want to create that, or I want to give everyone all of that. But then I had to go, but hang on a minute. If I give them that, that's actually not serving them. So how else could I do it? And I was sort of going a bit back and forth at different ways because I created my main system and then created my cash flow keys out of that, like as a kind of intro to the main system. And so when I did that, it was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I think that that's digestible and easy enough for people to even go through on their own to get a baseline understanding and insights and value from. So I was inspired by that in many ways, but also I wanted to go, now what else? And I was listening to a podcast, and I was trying to remember the lady's name because I hadn't actually come across her before. It was weird. I won't go into a big rabbit hole of how her name popped up online, but I actually, liked this podcast and some of the things that she was saying. She's an Instagram coach, and she was talking about using ChatGPT as her business coach and how she'd prompted it up and was really asking it to sort of poke holes in her assumptions and was giving it a lot more parameters rather than don't just agree with everything I say, which is what it tends to do. Hey, yeah, that's amazing. Then you change it. It goes, yeah, that's amazing too. And you're like, really? Okay. So like anything, AI, it's going to be what you feed it that makes all the difference. So then I thought, well, look, I've got all this information on myself about human design, and my information about the system of how to really power up your business with it combined. Why don't I create my own bot that I can ask questions based on my human design and my knowledge of how that impacts business, and feed the prompt that information as the baseline, then go and ask it questions, ask it to poke holes in my assumptions. After a while, that poking holes in my assumptions was starting to annoy me, but it was good because it would say, hey, this is your manifestor, nature getting away from yourself again. You wanting to go there, you're getting ahead of yourself. That's not where we're going. Let's go here first. Let's get this organized. It was really holding my feet to the fire, and I was so impressed. And anyway, where we got to at the end of a bit of back and forth was, well, why can't you have intensives on elements of the 6 phases that you've got? Like, you're still going to be sharing how to get people to their solution, but, you're not having to create 6 phases that they all have to go through to get that. Like, how can you give them quicker wins in a quicker way? And I was like, that's so much more aligned to who I am, working in quicker bursts, shorter bursts, less commitment over time, but bigger results. And I was like, that is perfect for me. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, how I can bring that into more of a sprint intensive kind of model of offer where people get the opportunity to try that, but they can also then come to the next one or whatever. They're not locked in, right? And my first thought was that is not going to be very profitable. So hence came in this profitability calculator. I wanted to start putting in, what I could see for my cash flow keys, profit code blueprint, the order bump, then what my vision is for the next initial offer. It's still a hands-free offer of that to get the average order value up, which should be available hopefully in a week or two. And I'm excited about that one, actually. It is like a really nice mix of human design and something really practical that you can use for the new year. And anyway, the other thing I'm loving about creating these resources, it's like I'm creating assets. It's kind of like being a real estate developer. Like I'm developing stuff that will keep making me money. Not like before, I'd find that had my main offer, but then it had to have this whole ecosystem to get people into it. And that was fine. But it was also, there was still a lot more of the heavy lifting during the delivery of it. So it was like there was never really any kind of ease that happened, apart from the fact that there was leverage in terms of that it was a group and there was high recurring revenue. But it wasn't like that was without energy exchange. Like there was also a high energy exchange to get that revenue. And this is really part of why I wanted to reinvent my messaging and my offers, because that just wasn't energetically sustainable for me at all in the long term. At times it was, but definitely not in the long term. And something that I just kept feeling a resistance to going back to. So anyway, this opportunity to go, you know what, once I put the figures in and looked at this, and keep in mind, this is all like dealing with $1,000 offers. Like I was looking, is this really possible? Could I have a, multi-six-figure business profit that is with relatively low ticket? I call anything really sub $5,000 low ticket. Really. But even for the first, this was looking over 12 months, and what it takes is into account a growth percentage, a percentage that you spend and reinvest in ads, and then looks at the cumulative profit, but also making sure every month that you've got the cash flow and the profit to make that work, and where you need to focus to grow and all of that kind of stuff. And, it wasn't like I just pumped the numbers in and went, oh, wacky-do. Like it took me a bit of back and forth going, okay, what were these rates and what are the assumptions that I'm putting into it to really see how that could work. And part of that was then wanting to get to the end of the 12 months. So I was able to put that in and also see, by plugging in with ads that were based on all realistic assumptions of what I've done with other clients and what I can do for myself as well, and what I know it takes to get some of those conversions. And obviously you've got to create the whole flow so it will be, open to getting readjusted when you get the results in, because I had even, low ticket calculators and stuff like that. And my stuff wasn't really following those benchmarks, but it's nice to see as a plan. And I did adjust the benchmarks that this calculator assumed. I want to create more content and have more visibility and awareness and all of those elements. So there were other things at play. It sort of got to, over the 12 months, like $650,000 with, a profitability of about, I don't know, 330 or 340, whatever. I mean, it wasn't a straight 50%, but it was around that. And that's top line profitability. Obviously, you've still got to run lots of things in your business, but that seemed to me like for year one, where there's going to be some of the build the plane as you fly it, but you really want to be grounded in that knowledge. That's also part of my human design, understanding that I need to be very clear in what I want to share, and the timing has to be right too. So it can't be forced. And if I'm not having a creative urge or I want to withdraw, then I wouldn't do that to paying clients, but I want to be able to set my business up so that I have the opportunity to create uninterrupted, because that is when I create my best work as well. So hopefully that made sense. And that'll be different for all of you. If you're a manifesting generator, you can have more things and you are designed to create, but you've got to let go faster. So what happens with a lot of manifesting generators is they grab hold of things and look, there's more than type in your human design. So there's also a lot of these like keys and strengths and the codes. There's business success codes that I'll be sharing with you all as well, that make a real difference to this. But on a baseline level or a foundational level, as a manifesting generator, you will want to juggle more and you will have more ideas and you want to create more things and you've got the capacity energy-wise to do it. But just because you have that energy doesn't mean you should always be doing it. The downside is that you hang on to it for way too long. So how can you make sure that you can say no, it's waiting to respond, and making sure that you are saying yes with authority to the thing that you're drawn to in the first place, knowing that you're probably going to do it for some time. Same as a generator will be, whatever you're saying yes to, you're going to be doing it for some time, okay? So if you're a projector, you will also be needing to be a bit more cognizant of your energy flow too. Now, this doesn't mean you can't go out and make invitations. This doesn't mean you can't go out and have, bigger programs and things like that. You just have to be able to go, okay, because your insights and guidance are amazing, but it's like, how do we protect your energy there as well? And so a higher ticket model actually works beautifully. Like a higher ticket mastermind model really works very well for a projector. Someone like Gina DeVee, I don't know if you've ever seen her stuff. She is a projector and she does that beautifully, like very high ticket, exclusive stuff. It was interesting. She doesn't have the same model she had sort of 10 years ago where she went really big and tried to scale. And I think that just would have completely blown her out of the water as a projector, even with a supportive team. So it's important to be able to understand how human design informs that. And that's really a lot of the elements that I want to be able to share, because when you know that before you go and create the animal, particularly as a manifesting generator or a generator, then you're going to have way less regret and issues along the way. Yeah, so that's what I'm excited about. So that was probably one of the big insights that I had. And also just seeing, oh, it's possible, like, wow, like that really excited me to go, now I can see what I have to hit in order to do that. And it felt so much clearer to me. Yes, from a mind perspective, but then I could go, if I was able to create that, would that be what I want? Yeah, absolutely. So it was a departure from what I think I'd always done or thought was possible. So it was like, okay, this is cool. And it wasn't like I invented any of that. It was just like, okay, I could see how I could do this differently. So that was super cool. That was the main elements that I wanted to cover with you about creating an offer in real time and the ad roller coaster of low ticket ads and the insights that I got from just being able to see how I could do things a bit differently using AI as my business coach. Like, hello. So that's my update and self-trust sessions, how I can give myself permission to reshape and support my energy and my flow. And I give you permission to do the same, and I'll see you on the next episode.